Hey there, Happy New Year. Welcome back to the channel. I am Coach Andrew, and today I have another video on Stoicism. We're going to talk today about Stoicism and activism and politics and social issues and how to be a better Stoic in the modern world, because it is 2020, it is January 15th of the new year, and it's an election year in the United States. And the last election was a complete carnival. I'm sure people have said that for every election that's ever happened, but 2016 was really something special. Let me tell you, if you're not from America, you're missing out. Actually, you're probably not, because everyone knows what happens in America because we make such a display of it. But I'm sure 2020 is going to be another explosive election year. There's an impeachment going on. There's lots of drama. And of course, there's no shortage of social issues, economic issues, political issues all over the world. There's all kinds of things happening. Some people use the phrase culture war to describe what's going on right now, because it feels like there's all these different cultures that are clashing. And a lot of Western societies are trying to find their identity. So the question ends up being, how do you stay stoic in an environment like this, when there is so much going on, when there are so many things to care about? And all of these things seem very, very important, right? The threat of nuclear war, global warming, artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, mechanization of the workforce, the wealth gap, social issues, human rights. I mean, you name it. There's a list longer than both of my legs put together, with like size 4 font of things that you can care about and things that you can be depressed or anxious or stressed or angry about. So I'm going to address that to the best of my ability in this video and talk about how I think you can still use Stoicism in this world while still managing to care and make an impact and be a good human. So if you like this kind of content, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video. I appreciate each and every single one of you who support me. You can leave a comment. Be sure to leave a comment if you disagree with me, or if you feel like I missed something or you have something to add. I love talking about this stuff. I love talking about Stoicism, and I would love to have you as part of the channel and part of the community. So the first thing I want to say is Stoicism is not an excuse for apathy. Right? Some people make the mistake of thinking that Stoicism is a philosophy that exists because it brings people comfort. And while it does bring a degree of comfort, it brings me comfort because it gives me clarity about what I should care about and what I shouldn't. But that's not the goal, right? The actual goal of Stoicism is to live a virtuous life in harmony with nature. Right? It's a lot like Eastern philosophies of the same type of nature. Taoism, namely, comes to mind, but it does have its nuanced differences. And you need to understand this. You need to understand that Stoicism is about living virtuously in harmony with nature. And as a human, we have human nature. We have our own nature. We have a way that we fit in with the planet, that we fit in with the universe and the laws of the universe. And humans build societies. We build civilizations. We build infrastructure, right? Rules and mores and ethics. All of these things are important, and we have to remember them when we're thinking about our Stoicism. Because in order to live in joyful harmony, in order to be happy and have inner peace and to live virtuously, you have to understand what is in your control and what is not. And this is probably the most defining, the most prominent mechanism of Stoicism, which is identifying what's in your control and what's not, and living your life using that as a tool to guide your thoughts, your actions, your behaviors, and your emotions. It's a very powerful discernment that you have to get good at making, and until you get good at making that discernment, you're going to have trouble being a Stoic, and this is not easy. This is something you have to practice. Although it sounds simple, it can still be complicated, and it can be particularly complicated with social and political issues. Because when you're able to identify what's in your control, you must pursue what is right within your control. You must pursue justice. Justice is one of the 4 cardinal virtues of Stoicism, and it's up to you as a Stoic to decide what is right, to apply ethics and morals and justice to your decision-making process and identify what you think is the ethically and morally and just thing to do, and you must pursue that if it is in your control. You must also learn how to become detached and accepting of things that are outside of your control, even if they're wrong. This doesn't mean standing idly by and letting injustice happen, right? Because the Stoics held morals and virtues and ethics in the highest possible regard. Justice was one of their virtues, and Standing by and letting bad things happen is obviously not justice. That is not moral. It is not ethical, and you cannot do that. But sometimes you have to recognize that you can't actually do anything to make this situation better, and the odds are stacked against you if you act. Odds are you'll make things worse. What comes to mind when I think of that and politics and social issues is like arguing with people in the comments section on a YouTube video or on Facebook, or posting a really passive-aggressive meme, or, anything that has to do with your political opinion, and you're trying to argue or condemn or change the mind of a stranger, right? I think any intelligent person only has to think about that for about 10 seconds to realize that it's completely pointless. You're never going to change anyone's mind. No one knows you. No one knows your credentials. You're not providing any value. All you're doing is disrupting the harmony in the comments section. All you're doing is putting yourself out there for no reason and causing conflict. And furthermore, you're not fixing anything. You're not changing anyone's mind. And even if you did change their mind, that's still probably not going to fix anything, because odds are they won't do anything with that opinion. They might not even be people who vote. They're not going to go out and fix the problem for you if you change their mind, but you're not fixing the problem either. It doesn't matter how many people you get to like or comment on your post. You're not going to fix global warming by posting about it. What a Stoic does is he ignores all those comments, he ignores all the videos, he ignores all of the conflict and the argumentation and the anger and the rage, and instead he turns his lights off when he leaves the house. He recycles. He tries to reduce the amount of waste he produces. He buys an electric vehicle. That's what a Stoic does. That's what someone who actually makes a difference in the world does, because that is within their control, right? Those things are within your control. I recycle all of my trash. I carpool whenever I can, because I recognize that that's within my control. That's an impact that I could actually make. But you'll never, ever, ever see me leave a nasty comment on a post or an advertisement or a video or a Facebook post. I just don't do that. I don't argue with people, because what they think and what they do is outside of my control. I have to accept who they are and what they do. I can't change that. I can talk to them, I can try to reason with them, and I can show them how I'm living my life, but ultimately, I cannot control the outcome of their actions and their thoughts. And it's much in the same way with the rest of the country and the politicians and the president and Congress. You will never be able to control the outcome. You can't control the outcome of an election, but you can vote, right? That's like recycling. You recycle to fix global warming. You vote to fix political policies. Because the last thing that a Stoic is going to do is stand by idly while something is wrong. Idleness in a crisis is a sin, right? It is injustice. It is self-absorption, egocentrism. It's damaging to yourself and to society. And again, this takes us back to being able to discern what is in your control and what is not in your control. And when you get good at making this discernment, you will find that there's very little you can control. There's very little that I can do about global warming. There's very little that I can do about impeachment, whether I support it or not. There's very little that I can do about a lot of these things. I can donate some money, I can volunteer with organizations, and I can have meaningful civil discussions with other intelligent people who might end up doing things as a result of that conversation. But ultimately, I can't control the outcomes of any of these things. I can't even control how the money I donate is spent. Stoics have a moral duty to society. And they have to recognize that by freeing up energy that was previously spent on trivial things, they make more energy available for themselves to do things that are actually meaningful. So what I'm talking about here is if you stop getting anxious or depressed or stressed out about things that you wish were better, or if you stop leaving angry comments on Facebook posts or getting worked up or, going to protests that aren't resulting in anything, if you stop wasting energy on all of those things, that frees up more time and energy that you can actually put into things that you do have control over. And for some of you, that's going to mean participating in a protest that's doing something, that's getting something done, right? A peaceful protest that's making a point. Or perhaps signing a petition, making a donation, voting, or volunteering, right? Those can all be useful applications of the energy that you free up by making better decisions about what's in your control and what's not in your control. And when there are things that are outside of your control that you can't change, how do you remain stoic about that? How do you come to terms with that? Because it's kind of distressing to think about all of the things that are outside of our control, right? I can't control if a world leader wants to launch a nuclear bomb, like, we have no control over that, and another person could make a decision that ends the lives of you and everyone you care about. But that's also no different than the fact that you could contract a deadly disease or get hit by a car or be in a plane crash or just be murdered. I mean, there are so many things in life that are outside of your control, and they all vary in the degree of severity. Some of them kill you. Some of them just make you upset for 10 seconds. And unfortunately, no matter where they fall on that spectrum, if they're outside of your control, they're all in the same place, and that is outside of your control, which means the best thing you can do is just control how you react, control how you think, and maintain your inner peace so that you can continue to be the best person that you can possibly be and make the largest impact with the things that are in your control. Angry Facebook posts, arguing, nasty memes, getting all raged and furious, being depressed or anxious, all of these things are going to work against you. They show yourself and they show others that you lack self-control, you lack emotional regulation, you take things too personally, you're sensitive, and you collapse under pressure. Furthermore, it's just going to make people not like you. It's going to make you not like yourself, and it's going to end up poisoning your mindset, poisoning your thought patterns and your surroundings and the people who are around you. The more time you spend being depressed and anxious and angry, that seeps out of you. It radiates out of you, and it will start to poison everything around you. It'll start to poison your life, all because you got worked up about something that you can't control. When you really meditate on these things, you realize how ridiculous we are. So much of the time, we're killing ourselves over things that don't matter because we can't do anything about it. But we choose to think about it because humans, deep down inside, for some reason, have this neuroticism that tells us that if I think about this hard enough and long enough, I'll find an answer. But for 99% of things, you won't. You never will. You'll never find that answer. And you'd probably find it quicker if you stopped thinking and actually went out and started doing something involving the issue that's stressing you out. If something's stressing you out that much, dedicate a portion of your life to it. Start a nonprofit, join an organization, meet people, talk to people who are familiar with the issue, learn as much as you possibly can, and decide if there is a way for you to make a real impact, right? If it's torturing you, maybe you need to figure out if you actually can control some of it, because there might be a very real impact that you can make. But a Stoic knows that only so much of what happens in the world is in his control, and he has to choose where his energy goes, because you cannot change everything, right? So I think I'll wrap this video up by saying that one of the most important things to remember is just be stoic whatever you end up doing. If you choose to be an activist about something, be stoic about it. Be just, be moral, be ethical, right? Try to come at everything from a fair angle, and don't get worked up when things don't go your way. Detach from the outcome. And remember that you're here just trying to be the best person you can be, to be as virtuous as possible, to help others, to make the world a better place. And that's going to look different for each and every one of us because we all have different visions for what we want. Detach from the outcome, control the things that you can control, and always pursue justice, pursue moral truth, pursue what is right in the ways that you can. Never let anything steal your inner peace, because when you give energy to things that are outside of your control, you live with the expectation of being included, being approved of, right? Being better than other people. You want to win, you want to be right. When you live with all of your joy and peace hinging on external factors and external approval, you're selling yourself out. And you're going to end up living your life as a lesser person because so much of yourself is outside of your mind. It's outside of your body. You're giving your happiness, you're putting it in someone else's hands. And you are more useful to yourself and to your community when you are entirely within your own control. You know your boundaries, and you know what impact you can definitely make in the physical world, what real changes you can make, and you allow the things that you can't control to not bother you, to not destroy you, to not infiltrate your thoughts and torture you. You'll be a better and more useful person if you live like a Stoic, even in the 21st century when it's probably the most difficult it's ever been to be a good Stoic. So in conclusion, I don't think there's anything wrong with being a Stoic and an activist, or being a Stoic who isn't politically involved, or a Stoic who's really involved with the news and involved with social issues. There's nothing wrong with any of that. Just make sure that you're putting your energy where it can actually make an impact, and you're being strategic, and you're also protecting your inner peace and accepting and dealing with the things that you cannot control, the things that you cannot change, and you're remaining whole as a person, because you're no good to anybody if you're destroying your mental health and your emotional health over things that are outside of your control. I hope this video was helpful. If you disagree with me or you have something to add or a question, please leave it in the comments. I love talking about Stoicism and ideas like this because they're really, really important. And I know that there's a lot of people out there who are looking for answers because they want to develop themselves. They want to be the best person they can be, and they've recognized that that's difficult. It's probably always been difficult, but in the 21st century, I think it's very, very difficult. There are a lot of things working against your self-development and your personal growth, from the internet and social media to political and social issues, all the way down to parenting and the way you were raised and the way you were educated and brought up by society and all the limiting beliefs you have. There are so many things, down to nutrition and prescription drugs, and I mean, you name it. Everything in life, in some way, is outside of your control and working against you. And so sometimes Stoicism is like an oasis in the desert, and it's the best way to center your energy, reset your compass and figure out where you are and what you can actually do, and live a meaningful life that's full of virtue, where you can actually do real good for yourself and for the people around you, and not waste the precious minutes of your life getting worked up or being distraught or wasting energy on things that cannot be moved by you. If you like the video, please leave a like, consider subscribing to the channel. I have all kinds of life coaching, self-development, entrepreneurship type content on here. You can also visit my website, andrewwuellner.com, to learn about my life and business coaching programs and see if you're a good fit for any of those. But as always, I'm here for you. New videos regularly. I appreciate each and every one of you who join the community by subscribing, and we will see you in the next video. Take care.